Welcome back to Mama's Garage Podcast. Mama, how are you
Yes,
doing?
I'm good, honey. How are you?
Fantastic. You're my very, very first guest.
And I'm very honored to be your first guest.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course.
Well, this is our second attempt to do this. Earlier, we were in the living room and we realized how just overly sensitive my microphones are.
Yes, picking up every bit of daily life.
We pissed off my younger brother Max because he was opening a cheese stick 10 feet away and you can hear it as clear as our voices.
Yep.
It was not his fault at all, but we did need to ask him to quit. So we went ahead and did that. Now,
We relocated.
we did relocate. Now, what we were doing in there, we were discussing some questions that I had prepared. And so the question we did earlier, to kick it off, I'm going to save to the end because we've already kind of talked about it, and it's not really a topic that goes well going first. So we're going to save that for the end. It's going to be a very, very you'll see when we get there. It'll be all right. But Mama, you actually bought me these cards to go through with the intent of using them for my show,
Yes.
and I really appreciate that. So the first question from my card says, which is the best season of the year? And what is the best month?
Best season of the year's fall.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Best month is September.
Because that's the month my mama was born.
That's right.
hmm Most people are born in September. Want to know why? You know why.
January is a cold month.
Indeed. It's also fucking terrible outside too right now. So my whole answer to the first question revolves entirely around the winter. It's my least favorite time of the year.
Yes, it sucks.
Yes, right
It's
now.
not necessary.
No, it is not.
At all.
It doesn't help the environment. Maybe it's part of cycles. What? Well, you looked at me as if it does help the environment.
Yeah, I'm just saying that you can't just say shit because.
It doesn't help my environment.
Okay, there you go.
I'll say that.
There you go.
Kills trees and shit. You ever see green leaves aside from evergreen trees, but like an oak tree blossoming in the midst of a blizzard? No, trees also hate this shit. And trees give us oxygen, and oxygen gives us life. Winter sucks. It's from hell.
Okay, well, we're not scientific, so we're not gonna.
I guess you're right. But I think the best season is spring. And I don't think anyone on earth agrees with me.
I'm sure there's plenty of people that agree with you. Just not your mother.
Not the people I've talked to about. Most people are like, fall is the best, hands down, no question whatsoever.
Why do you like spring?
So, I have plenty of reasons, like all my answers to complicated questions. For starters, if you'll remember, I was in drumline for 5 years.
Really?
No, my mother was the most glorified band mother of all time, and it's chapters of our lives that we'll never forget. But with that being said, it was a great fundamental part of my upbringing, but also it did get old after a while, especially towards the end, like my junior and senior year. And so I always associated springtime with the end of winter drumline. And so winter drumline takes place from as early as the like mid-November to as late as April. And so it's a bulk of the school year. And after so long, I'm like, I've done this shit so many times. So every time the drumline season would end, it'd be in the spring, and then I'd have all of this free time, which I definitely value. Without free time, I wouldn't have put on Mama's Garage Podcast, let alone anything else.
Love the name.
Oh, thank you very much. Mama's Garage Pod. Did you listen to the first episode?
No, not yet.
That's all right. It's out there.
Okay.
Well, we'll be all right. It's been out there for like 2 days, I think. It's okay. But reason why the Mama's Garage Podcast has that name is because I learned how to play the drums in Mama's Garage. And I call it Mama's Garage because my father has his garage across our property, and it's full of cars and whatnot, but my drums were not in there. And so we called that his garage. All of his things were over there. We called the other garage Mama's Garage because Mama's car was there, and there's currently crafts and all that, and there's drums out there, which ties into my spring thing. Whenever drumline would end, I'd have all this free time to just
Drum your ass off.
that drum my yeah, exactly, like lose calories and cells from my rectum.
Ew.
I know. But it's true. You've seen my swamp ass. You've done laundry. But
not your rectum.
does rectum mean anus exclusively, or does that mean?
Yes.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I wasn't wearing away at my butthole.
See, not scientific.
Not at all.
You can't just say shit.
It's all right. When I set up my Spotify account for this, I didn't put it under like leisure or like education. I put it under comedy, and so I'm trying to be. I don't need to be correct to be funny. Anyway, back to it. Free time. I'd spend all this time in Mama's garage, and so I consider it a sanctuary of creativity. And without it, I wouldn't be the guy I am today. And without that free time after drumline, I also wouldn't have time to develop and like make drum videos and post those on Instagram and like develop a lot of confidence. And so that's kind of why I love the spring so much. Plus, it goes directly into summer. And so I always have compared spring and fall, like basically a lot of the similar temperatures. You know, it's kind of like opposites because like, you know, everything blooms in the spring and then everything dies in the fall. And like, so summer is like is in between that, and so I think spring, you get to come from winter into spring. I'm always excited about that because right now there's like 2 feet of snow around our sidewalk, and there's like a foot of snow around every part of our yard. And we had to get our nice neighbor Mark to help out with the driveway just a couple hours ago.
Yeah, shout out to the Bennetts.
Shout out to the Bennetts.
Thank you guys.
Mark's the man. He was basically a transformer, and he had his large machinery and helped out with our driveway. But point is, it's more of an optimistic season for me. Spring. It's like, oh shit, summer's coming up. That means 4th of July. That means my birthday. That means hot dogs. That means all kinds of. That means I get to sweat my ass off all the time, and leave my butthole unsweated. But the fall, it's like it's much more pretty, and I think the weather is nicer because it's kind of dry. It rains.
You can also have a hot dog in fall.
Yeah, I can have a hot dog anytime I want. I can have a hot dog in this bed if I needed to. I probably have plenty of times.
Probably.
But
oh, we can have some tonight.
hot dogs?
Yeah.
For breakfast? That's an inside joke, but out. Anyway, it's just characteristics of summer that everyone romanticizes, I think, and I just spring into summer just means a lot to me, so I like that a lot. Plus, I like when it rains sometimes. I like when it rains when it's like 70 degrees outside, like middle range, because the fall it just gets all the leaves fall and it gets all wet and stuff. I just yuck. And here when we're from central Indiana, basically, it just we get like a little like just a snippet, a commercial break of fall. Then it's just terrible, cold, crispy outside. There's no pretty, just toothpick trees. I don't like it. And we're currently in that shit right now, and it affects my mood. I don't want to be weak like that, but the winter does affect me.
It affects a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
There's an actual disorder.
Was it sad? Is that right?
Seasonal affective disorder.
Disorder.
Yes, sad.
I'm afraid I suffer from that.
A lot of people do.
It's upsetting. Well, I say spring, you say fall.
You know something you can do?
Oh, what can I do?
Tanning bed.
Ooh.
Seriously, look it up.
I have Planet Fitness subscription.
Yes, you do. But that is a suggestion to help people with their depression during winter.
Oh, I was call it like a depression, but I mean, I guess it can be wrapped in the umbrella of depression.
It's a mild depression.
That is kind of true. Like the past 2 days, like Sunday was all snowed in.
You get into a funk. You don't want to do anything. It's cold outside.
Yeah.
It's dark outside. You'd rather just snuggle up in your bed or in your cozy chair with a blanket and watch podcasts till you can't stand it.
Mm-hmm. That's me studying for my show.
Okay, well.
No, but I did that all the past 2 days.
You don't want to go outside and drum when it's this cold, do you?
No, but I did force myself to do that today, which it is always. I never feel worse after I go out and drum, but yeah, it's this. Yeah, another reason why I like the spring is that the winter is like it's kind of a prohibitive season where it's like, oh, it's too cold out. I have to bundle the hell up to go and drum. And then when the spring comes, it might be like a nice high 60s day, a little bit humid outside. My favorite conditions to go drum in the garage.
The temperatures are very similar in spring and fall.
Mm-hmm. But I like the spring because it's moister. Not a word. I'm so sorry. Grammar queen over there. Not grammar police. She's not gonna arrest me. But I am a jester, and she does not like that. But yeah, I understand the fall argument so well. I understand it for sure, and I don't know. I don't know if I'd put it second place, but it's for sure third place, if not second. I just love the spring a lot.
Spring would be second for me.
And then summer and then winter.
And then winter just doesn't rank.
No, shit is rank. Fuck that.
Yeah, I don't.
There's no upside.
I like where I live, but I don't like my seasons.
I do like how there's an extreme when it comes to the comparison, where it's like it gets hella hot here, but it also gets mighty fucking cold as well. And so it kind of makes you appreciate the other a lot more.
Yeah, I could just keep the same temperature.
Yeah,
and be fine.
Like just room temperature inside and outside, just and occasionally a little bit of a thunderstorm.
I would like a thin cardigan in the morning and take it off by afternoon.
That's living. That's good.
That's the temperature I like.
All right.
And if I need it any hotter, I'll go to Florida.
Mm-hmm. Can I borrow your cardigan?
Yes.
Great. Next question. Should prostitution be legal?
Yes.
I was quick to the answer.
100%.
You were 30 when you had me.
Yes.
What were you doing before that? Are you?
I wasn't a prostitute.
I know that, but you're just so quick to answer. Which we have discussed this before. It's just fun to poke fun and call you a whore. My mother's not a whore. I will. That's not true. I'm just kidding. Comedy. Hey. No.
Your brother better not hear this podcast. He won't like that at all.
No, he will not. He'll come bust through my wallet at Kool-Aid Man and then submit me in 3 seconds. Max is
It won't take 3 seconds, Luke.
No, I know. If I'm running away, then it will be 3 seconds because it'll take a second and a half to catch me, and then a second and a half to just literally scramble my bones, reorganize my anatomy. You're not a whore. It's something.
Crush your windpipe.
Yes. No. Yeah. Like my poor fucking Adam's apple the other day.
Oh, Adam's apple. That's what it was.
I'm not built for the MMA. I'm built to be a fan of the MMA. I can cheer as loud as I need to. Anyway, of course I'm joking. You're not a whore. You're my mother.
Correct.
Yeah, we agree on that. But you did seem to answer that rather quickly. And if I hadn't heard this question prior, I would have, sorted through some mental files before giving you my final answer. What is your explanation to your answer about prostitution being legal?
I feel like it would be safer for the women if it was legal.
Probably so.
If there could just be a place of business where, people are gonna do it no matter what.
Yeah, it's like another drug. It just
Yeah, people are going to use prostitutes.
Mm-hmm.
But if it were legal, they wouldn't be sneaking around. They wouldn't be in danger. There could be, a lobby that you walk in where you're on camera and we see your face and you have to sign in. So if anything goes wrong,
then you look through the cake book at Marsh where it's like, I think I'll have her.
Sure.
When's she available?
Exactly. You make an appointment.
It would take a lot of the I really shouldn't be doing this right now out of it. The same thing with drugs in general.
Some people choose to do that. That's how they make their living, and they make a very good living doing that.
I imagine they do.
It should be legal so that people are not forced into prostitution also.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have nothing else to say about that. I've never been a pimp or a prostitute, so I don't know what it is like to be on the in and out of that.
Me either, but I firmly believe that you should be allowed to do what you want to do with your body.
Plus, like, OnlyFans is like almost encouraged in culture now, which is like basically one step away from actual prostitution.
I don't really know what that is.
Oh.
I hear it all the time. But
Ladies and gentlemen,
I don't really know what it is.
I get to explain my mother what OnlyFans is. So, from my understanding, it didn't originate in
is it like foot porn?
Well, it can be. It can be.
But
no.
you can have at it. Go
yeah,
ahead.
No kidding.
If
yeah.
people are going to pay for that,
I think that is it's like the easiest way. I wish I had prettier feet. I have fucking mangled, like, pale some places and toe
that's
furrow.
probably a fetish for somebody. They'd probably pay for that too.
Don't forget the veins and the
that might be the biggest turn on.
Crooked toes. I have like a witch's foot on either side of my body. No, OnlyFans is I believe it started out for like creators to like kind of how you know Patreon. You know what that is?
No.
So, say we have this podcast. We release these free episodes on Spotify. We could make separate episodes on Patreon, which would be like ways for someone to pay for it, that money would go towards the show and kind of influences everything. So it's like a private thing. There's like a paywall behind it. But most podcasts, like at least like most like small podcasts, have like a Patreon set up. I don't think I'll ever do that, but it's just like if you want to be a really big fan and like give like $5 a month to your favorite podcast people, then you could have access to this whole other bundle of shows as well. So it's kind of like a exclusive fan thing, which is I think what OnlyFans
like a
thing.
Subscription to Netflix.
Basically, yeah, but you get the Netflix in question would be like these secret episodes that no one else can watch.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of where OnlyFans was kind of originated, where it's like, hey, you can put whatever you want up here and like have only your fans pay for it, and then you get to go make the money off that. So
it's not just women.
Well, not just women now, but I mean it's basically just another porn site, because it went from a creator can like say you're like an artist, you make really good with like digital art. You have they have like those big ass iPads, like the really cool smart pencils. They want to sell their own stuff on there or like just display it, and they make money off of it that way by just displaying their art. That might be like like the exhibit A for OnlyFans. Now everyone realized that you can just put whatever you want on there. So yeah, girls will just expose themselves, whether it's their feet or their nipples or their any other part of their body, and then they make hella money off of it. Like more money than you need. And all it is just, I'm gonna excuse 5 minutes of every day. So we'll call that 35 minutes a week if you do it every day. That's how long their work week is, to just snap a few photos, some nice pics in the mirror or something, or maybe there's...
So it's photos and it's not videos?
Photos or videos, and then just post that up there, and then, sad men or really cool lesbians can go in there and just pay for it, and then they get to do whatever the hell they want with those videos, but yeah, it is a subscription. Like there's like, you could charge like whatever you want per month for it. But it's a really easy way for a girl like my age, who it would be legal. It would be, not too far from high school. It would be a little fucking frowned upon, but like it would be totally fine. I'm sure I know people who might have an OnlyFans right now, but all I'm saying is
good
like,
for them.
Yeah. I mean, I think people have paid for their own houses by just selling pictures of their ass.
Probably.
That's an entrepreneur. That's the American dream right there. It's pretty cool. But now that you know what OnlyFans is, there's also people that will sell videos of literal fornication, I believe, and that is just virtual prostitution in that instance. So, but that's not even close to illegal. It's like there's like a whole culture behind that. So I agree. I think prostitution should be legal. It just would make things safer. It wouldn't alienate it as much as it is now. There wouldn't be a lot of NYPD Blue episodes. You can't like drive over a hooker in GTA 6 after a while. But it might save lives. So if you and I were presidential cabinet. I'm the first son. You are boss man, Mama Franklin. I'd say it'd work out just fine for America. This is a good segue. Next question is, are humans inherently good or evil?
Good.
I think I agree with you. We did this. I talked about this once my sophomore year in English class, which was my sophomore year was like right when COVID was all weird, and I did like a lot of. Sophomore year was the first year that I actually like felt like participating in English class a lot more, and so we'd have these open-ended discussions, and I would be one of the guys to weigh in a lot, and it was kind of cool. And so we talked about that exact question itself. Are humans good or evil? And so, or inherently good or evil, which I just think like if is a baby, like I think there's no way a baby comes out of the womb just being like, I'm gonna fuck y'all up.
Oh yes, they definitely do.
What? Well, I mean, like
there are some people that are born bad.
But do you think just a vengeful fucking infant?
Satan.
Well, have you met any of these guys? Personally, I have not encountered any shitty little babies like that.
Think back. Did you ever have any mean ass kids? It's not always environment.
But I feel like I feel like the spectrum is a lot smaller, and then your environment can just expand that.
Sure.
I think would you agree?
Yes.
But for the most part,
environment affects a lot.
Mm-hmm. Some guys' wires are just crossed. They come out with
yes.
just a built-in holster. Just
anybody that's gonna eat another person was born that way.
You're right. That's true. They weren't they didn't like watch.
That shit didn't happen in their living room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shit is not right in their brain.
That's
They're
true.
Mentally ill.
Ill isn't like sick, or isn't like cool sick. Sorry. But Jeffrey Dahmer, what? Yeah, you do agree? Yeah, he's most certainly a.
He put people in jars in his refrigerator.
Had a really good show though. Did you ever watch the show?
Yes, I watched it with you.
That's right. It came out that came out like my senior year summer, like right when I got my license. That was a while ago. That'll be 3 years ago this summer. Damn. What's the actor's name? He's like the American Horror Story.
Yes.
What's his Evan Peters.
That's him.
Evan Peters.
Yep.
Good. I think I saw him say that he had to go to a very dark place in order to pull off that role, which
sure you would.
I imagine. So you can't just be like, well, wake up Evan Peters to go to work being Jeffrey fucking Dahmer, and then go back home and like play Fortnite or something. I don't know, whatever Evan Peters does as an actor, young man. Anyway, that is a good example. Yeah, if you do take part in being Hannibal the Cannibal.
I think that most people are good,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some people that no matter how much love they were given as a kid, how much privilege they were given as a kid, how much education they were given as a kid, they're still bad.
Yeah.
And do horrible, horrible things to people.
Yeah, like make them watch Exorcist 3. It's not even one of the good ones. And
what?
then that was part of his ritual. Jeffrey Dahmer, he would.
I thought you were talking about me making you watch movies.
Oh no, no! I love that I got to grow up watching adult TV, CSI, NCIS, NCIS LA, or no, I was trying to use all like the acronym ones, but like Blue Bloods and Law and Order. Dun dun.
Yes.
It's good stuff. Oh, it's Suits?
Yeah.
I need to watch Suits.
It's a great series. One of my favorite.
I've heard. You've told me. It's good. I just gotta climb into it.
It's so funny. They're very clever, and they use a lot of movie references, which I love. I know that you'll love.
That's what you said. It would just be like, wah, 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 guys in suits, wah, 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 very, very white, plain. Nothing was going on. There was no Elliot Stabler.
Greenback Boogie.
Yeah, that's a great song. I forgot about the theme song. Damn. Anyway, Jeffrey Dahmer's a bad guy.
Yes,
and,
he is.
Yeah, and
Was.
yeah, it's true. He has been beaten to death in prison for 30 years. Ah, yeah, probably for the best. Well, I think we decided that question.
Yeah, no one's missing him.
Nah, you're probably right. Probably not good. What all have we done so far? Okay, next question. This is one I for sure have the opinions to weigh in on with this. It says, should you tip when you pick up takeout food? And
what is your opinion?
And in my opinion,
as a former server.
That's right. As a former server, a former host, a former manager at a pizza shop, I was handling the register often, and I often questioned why people were to tip to take out food people. I think if all the receipts were printed as like, here's the total, here's the tip line. It is not mandatory, of course. It's not like you got to pick like a percentage on an iPad how they have these days. It was simply just like suggestion, but it was always on there. It was never like up in the air of like whether or not you should tip. It was always like you can see it.
For the most, weren't two separate receipts for
yes,
dine in or carry out
total. And there's the potential tip, and then you have the signature. Most of the time, as when I would go through the drawer as a manager, there would be people that just wouldn't even address the tip line, or they just draw a line right through it, or put a zero. One time several times actually, I had people put $0.000, as in like, fuck you, you're not getting my money, and here's every single cent you'll never see. And the dollar sign too. I'm gonna put a fucking decimal point between these zeros to establish exactly how much you're not getting. To
illustrate my point.
Like they would put not just one line through the S to make the dollar. They would put two parallel lines. It took effort, time out of their life to do that. And I'm like, that's a little excessive. Just, you don't have to do anything if you're gonna put nothing. So my theory is that if that tip line wasn't there ever, you just sign for that shit, there'd be a significant drop in tips. I do think people would be like, hey, thank you very much for having a sweet conversation with me, or whatever, just maybe the vibes are good, where it's like, here's $3. It's basically nothing for most people. Just, you can have that. That would add up after a while if several people did that, but I do not think it's even close to necessary to tip people for takeout, because all you do as a host in my position was you'd be like, hi, what are you here for? Pizza. We do pizza. Oh, you ordered it online. Oh, it must be right here in this convenient heater
cabinet.
Well, yeah, those like insulated
with a
like
flap.
Yeah, fucking yeah, no kidding, big old flap on that thing. Then you'd open it, and then you'd be like, are you
so and so?
Exactly. I'm like, I am so and so. Oh, so and so's my wife. It's like, oh, you're the messenger man. Whatever. And like, here you go. And that's, you just fucking take the pizza from one place to their hands. That's all you do. The most of the work is done in the kitchen, and they're all paid hourly. And so I've heard people argue, maybe we should tip, or we should take all the carryout tips and just disperse that evenly on all of our payroll, and all of our paychecks at the end of the week. I'm like, I think that seems the most fair. But then again, I don't even think people need to tip in the first place. This doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, was there a service involved? It's like, oh, I like the way you turn your hips. Here's $9 more on top of my like $90 order.
Do you want my opinion?
Yeah, go ahead.
My opinion basically mirrors yours, that carry out didn't do anything to earn a tip. I didn't have a server. I tip my servers. But if I go and pick food up, I feel obligated to write something in. So a lot of times I'll just do like 10% for a carry out tip versus 20 or 25 or 30% when I'm dining in.
Right, just something. I understand that.
Yeah.
But that's because you are inherently good. And you've taught me to be that way as well. My mother is sweeter than yours. Is she doing your podcast right now? Chances are probably not. I'm just kidding. I'm very lucky to have you, but it's not a competition. But if it was, you'd be winning. But you feel obligated. You use the word obligated
Yes.
to tip.
Yes.
And that's where I'm like, a tip should be earned. And when I was a server, I tried to do my very best to earn it.
Yes.
Try to be charming. I had all these jokes prepared for situations that may or may not happen. It just put a little more. It just make it look like you seem like you care. Because if you needed to be, you'd be like, "What's your name, David? Here you go, David." That's all you have to do as a host. And it's like, oh, I should be expecting, a little bit of money of that back. But I don't think that's necessary at all. Especially like if it's like, how it is now modern where it's like on an iPad where it's like, oh, you picked up, you want to give us 30%? It's like, what? For what? 30% for what?
Changed a lot in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are literally tip jars everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Here's a perfect example is Inside Scoop. That's like Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
You don't tip at Dairy Queen.
You're damn right you don't.
But people tip.
And you used to work at Dairy Queen.
I sure did. But people tip at Inside Scoop. And then once more people started to tip, then it like becomes expected.
It's like a trend that gets set.
Yes, and it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like you tip your hairdresser. Do you tip your dentist? No.
You're damn right I don't. Those of you who are also on my Snapchat, or you can also check it out on my Instagram, I have gone on plenty of a tangent about my dentist.
Luke hates his dentist.
Fucking Kevin. Yeah, we would never tip that man ever.
Right. So anyway, it's very different nowadays than it used to be. You're expected to tip more places or services than what you used to.
Right. And you and I have for sure have seen Reservoir Dogs. You even showed it to me on my 15th birthday. In the opening scene.
Movie.
That great movie, yes. Tarantino, if you're listening, we love that movie. It's great. I can see the DVD from where I'm sitting right now.
Tarantino, if you're listening, you're a weird guy. But we do love you.
Maybe you can get on my OnlyFans. Maybe that's my veiny, hairy, pale man, crooked, 13-sized feet. Maybe not. Point is, one of the opening monologues in Reservoir Dogs is where Steve Buscemi is talking about how he doesn't tip, and he made a very compelling argument. I forget the argument. All I know is I remember how it made me feel. And I remember watching it over the summer when I was still very much in the trenches as a server, just like it's how I relied on, to pay bills. And so basically he just has a moral objection against it, where he's like, I just don't do it. It's not something that I do. I just don't believe in it. It's like, oh, but it was back in the 90s when this was released. The dad of the operation, I forget this man's name. He's not a big proclivity figure in the movie, but he was like, a waitress is the only job in America that any woman could get, and it's like it's the only one that they could pay all their bills with, just off their tips. And so it's kind of like our responsibility, to do that and tip that way. And Steve Buscemi was like, you see this? He does that dumb fucking... They're the world's smallest violin. I find that despicably fucking stupid. But I believe... I wish I had prefaced or researched this or watched it recently to kind of talk about it more. I'm very much flubbing it right now. But he just doesn't think it's his responsibility to abide to some rule that society made before he was even around. It's like he should have the ability to choose whether or not he does it or not. But I will say, as a server, to work your ass off on a bill that's higher than usual, or it's like a big party, and then you get a whole fucking goose egg, nothing out of it, when you're expecting a tip, it does suck ass. But it's also like, well, I took this job with the expect of oh, hopefully I can make all this money off these people's generosity. But it's like, if they're not generous, then I'm kind of fucked. And every now and then you get someone just be like, "Yeah, fuck this guy." Or if it's like a problem in the kitchen where it's not my fault and I'm the poster boy of the whole operation.
You're
so
the messenger.
yeah, so they see my face.
Shoot the messenger.
Yeah. Matter of fact, one of the last tables I ever had, it was on what they call Blackout Wednesday, which is the day before Thanksgiving. I had just put in my 2 weeks in, like the day before, and so for anyone out there who has quit a job or has, put the 2 weeks in and then continued to work, that's those 2 weeks. Those 2 weeks feel like you lose the care you once had, and so I was not prepared for how busy as hell we were going to get that night, and we had some out of towners come in. Matter of fact, he was so out of town, this man had a English accent, and he was the most. I said it great once before when it happened, but I had never been yelled at so nicely before in my entire life because it was a slow escalation. I got like 5 tables all at once, and his table ordered maybe something rather specific, like a gluten-free pizza, and those take a little bit longer because the crust has to go in there first, and it's a lot more brittle and everything. It's something along the lines of that, where the shit was not coming out on time, and so tables that came after his table got there were already getting their food, and I got their drinks and everything, and I'm running around. He can see me. There's like beads of sweat on my forehead, and he's like, "Mate, where's the food at?" I was like, "Oh, sorry, sir. We're working on it right now. It should be coming out very shortly." And this is before all the food came out. He was just getting suspicious and a little weary, and then I'll save it the trouble. And basically, he was like, "We've waited long enough. Go figure it out." And I was like, "Okay." But even I'm doing it a little more evil than what he was doing. He like basically pulled me in and was like, "I'm gonna go down under on your ass." I think he's from Australia, but I forget why I brought this up. Tips, I think. Yeah.
Yes, getting no tip at
right,
the end of a big bill.
Yeah, exactly. Because when it's sometimes the kitchen's fault and not my fault. I believe that time it was the kitchen's fault, and they got their shit eventually, and he eased up a little bit. He is, but he almost pulled a gun out of his fucking kangaroo pouch. I was so worried about it. But it just, I don't know. The service industry is very, very weird.
People do get angry at serving staff.
Yeah, for sure. I would never do that now that I've known what it's like to be at like maximum stress levels, where at like my capacity before I'm like, I don't give a fuck anymore. We're understaffed. There's too many fucking things happening at once. It should be all fall on my shoulders. I'm just a boy. This sucks. It shouldn't, So as I get older and I'm in situations where it's like, oh, they're very busy right now, I would be hopefully the saving grace customer where it's like, oh my God, we forgot about your table. It's like, do you know how many times I forgot tables when I was a server? Honey, you're doing just fine. Don't worry about it. We are thirsty though, so whenever you get a chance, it'd be great if we can have some agua. But I would never yell at someone when they're doing their best. If they are, a Cracker Barrel server.
We don't yell at people anyway.
No, of course not.
That's just not our nature.
Not our nature. But yeah, if they clearly don't give a shit, I'm not gonna be nice to them. I'll be like,
right.
It's more like thank you for coming.
I get pissed off at bad service, and then they go on the list, meaning I don't come there again.
Mm-hmm. It's silent protest. It's like I'm not gonna help you anymore.
You ruined your shot.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll do takeout and then not tip.
No, I just won't go there anymore.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah, I don't think I haven't had a bad server since Cracker Barrel in a long time.
Ugh.
You want to talk about Cracker Barrel?
I won't be going back there.
That's for damn sure.
Cracker Barrel and Plainfield, stay away.
We did that on Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, and I heard they're going out of business.
Cracker Barrel?
Yeah.
Cracker Barrel.
So I think that might be part of the problem.
Well, the story I just totally flubbed happened the day before this next story we're about to tell.
We shouldn't have been there.
We shouldn't have been there.
No one should be at a restaurant on a holiday. Restaurants should not be open on a holiday.
Yeah, I would feel.
Those people should be home with their families on a holiday.
Yep. Or or like a friendsgiving if they if they're not from around here, but they have like a solid foundation. Like it should be a time for people that you find fond.
Yeah, there should be hospitals open.
And
on a holiday.
And we. God bless the people who work at the hospitals. And
right.
Hope they can have a good time rescheduling their Thanksgivings.
Well, they go into it knowing that they are.
Oh yeah. They're making a sacrifice.
Going to be working nights, weekends, holidays, that sort of thing. But those are emergency situations. We need those.
Yeah.
Nothing else needs to be open on a holiday.
Yeah, like
get your gas the day before.
Or just they have like you can go to a gas station with like the automated pumps and stuff.
Oh yeah, true. That you can still get gas when they're not open.
Yeah, but maybe you don't get a fucking slushie that day. It's like whatever, it'll be okay. You'll survive. There's stuffing where you're supposed to be going.
Exactly.
Now, usually we do spend our Thanksgivings, with family, with the traditional meals, turkey and potatoes and stuffing and corn and everything else that we would provide or our other family would provide. But this year, we're gonna leave the details out, but.
We found ourselves at a Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, it was out of our control. We were invited to go to Cracker Barrel by a higher up, and this is not a tradition that anyone should find themselves in. It should be a different crop of people at this Cracker Barrels every year. Ideally, none. Ideally, no one goes. But we talked to a manager because we had plenty of time to talk to the manager during our wait before we even got sat down. And this woman said that Cracker Barrel and Thanksgiving is like whatever venue the Super Bowl is that year and the Super Bowl. It is that is their biggest day of the year is Thanksgiving at Cracker Barrel. And we know that several other families know about this because there was parties of 7, parties of 11, parties of 1. You're allowed to laugh. It's not very funny, but it did happen. It's part of the story.
It made me sad, though.
Yeah, party of 1. The phrase "party of 1" is
a tear
funny.
Just came right to my eye when I heard that.
I mean and what's even sadder is that the food she probably got was dog shit.
Yeah, absolutely. And there were 4 choices.
Yes.
4 shitty choices.
4 poor choices. Because Max was there with us. You guys heard him cough earlier. You might not know it. You might want to go back around maybe the 20-minute mark. But we were looking at the menu, and Max goes, "Am I stupid? Or are there like 3 things to choose from right now?" And then,
yes, honey, it's an abbreviated menu.
And tell me what you got.
I got the breakfast.
Yeah.
It was the only thing I felt like was safe.
Was safe.
It wasn't.
No.
It wasn't.
And we were hungry too, because we waited 75 minutes.
No, honey, it was over 2 hours.
We waited over 2 hours?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I can't get those hours back, can I?
No.
Oh, God. We gave it to Cracker Barrel.
And it was too cold to go outside and wait, so you had to stand inside with 1,000 other people that's in an area too small for 10 people to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And every time you turned around, you're going to bump into some sort of knick-knack. Some glittery bullshit.
Would you like a Hot Wheel made out of Tootsie Rolls? How about checkers, but each piece of checker is the size of a dinner plate? How about a hat that says Indiana on it, even though the only people come here are from Indiana? It might be a bit of a more of a tourist trap. I get it.
Yeah.
Because that gift shop is rather invasive. Also, when I would think of Cracker Barrel, I would typically think of thoughtful interior design. But that's all changed.
Yes.
We went in it, and it looked like the inside of Cracker Barrel looked like the outside of current McDonald's. Just gray, black, light tan, and just there's no soul.
Yeah, all the old antique memorabilia that was sitting around, that stuff's gone.
Yeah, there's no saloon doors.
The wooden panels,
no.
gone.
There's some fucking, like, the cheapest Lowe's paint they could possibly get their hands on was like, fuck it, we are done. The gift shop retained the same, I think. I don't know. The lighting felt brighter in there than what my memories have served me. But for the most part, it was just an absolute fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
I got the country fried steak thinking, oh, at least this will be some sort of like hearty and like filling, some sort of a meat. I don't know where it came from, but in the past, I've only had country fried steak a few times. It's usually served with white gravy. It's this breaded, is it pork?
I don't know what it is.
Well, whatever I had,
it's minced meat.
Yes, it was minced meat because it broke apart like clay, like a Play-Doh that had been rained on.
It's just disgusting.
Yes, it looked like
the turkey platter was worse.
Oh, I bet the turkey platter was. Oh, also my steak was freezer burned.
And no gravy.
Oh yeah, we didn't get gravy till the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and the sweet potato casserole, which you eventually totally made up for it because you made a very kick-ass sweet potato casserole. But the audacity to call this a casserole at all,
or sweet,
is downright funky terrible because it looked like baby's food.
It was baby food
that came out of the baby's ass.
Yeah, it had no flavor. It was like mush.
Yes. If you were to put the sweet potato casserole from Cracker Barrel on a plate next to the refried beans you get at a Mexican place, twins. Absolute twins. Probably the same taste too. I don't know what they made the sweet potato casserole out of, but it was podunk awful.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably it's probably good for bricklaying, I imagine. That shit dries up all good. Would not recommend Cracker Barrel to anyone ever again. It's lost its prime. It's like, I'm trying to think of a TV show that kind of sucked towards the end. I've heard Game of Thrones is like that. Never personally seen it. Was it Dragons and Pussy? I don't know. But it's like,
never watched any of it.
Yeah, whatever. We're more of CSI people. Law and Order. Dun dun. But yeah. Are we forgetting any more details about Cracker Barrel? Because we talked about our bad server. Because our server we had was just...
didn't want to be there.
No. I don't blame her. But I mean, also, like... you are there. And you can't, like, just leave. So... But she was speaking very softly. Didn't give much of a shit. Oh, yeah. The water tasted awful.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about the water.
It tasted like dish soap.
Yeah. Well, you gotta... We were probably like
so bad.
Probably like the 8th mouth on that cup that day. Water wasn't even cold because I imagine it was fairly cold when it went into the cup, but I think it was the glass. The glass had to have been hot from the dishwasher, and so I mean we're glad that they're washing dishes, but I mean, good God,
get the residue.
And since they had an abridged menu, they probably had plenty of these things plated before it was ready, because I think they were just like kind of mismatching shit back there, like a flow line for it's like Amazon, where it's like we gotta get all these orders filled, and so my mashed potatoes has like a layer of like hard, like dried up, where it's like you know how like when
a crust on a buttercream.
Yes. It was like whenever like a pond freezes over and you have like that nice skatable flat pond, and then just below that, when you get like the little circle, you know you ice fishing, there's all the water underneath there. That's what it all should be. But no, my mashed potatoes, or what, I don't know, it was something was funky, and it had different like there was an Earth's crust on one of my food that did not need to be there. So bad.
So nasty.
But then early December, I think a month ago today, we had our own Thanksgiving.
Yes, the week after Thanksgiving.
Yes.
We did a Friendsgiving
on a Saturday.
Yes, December the 7th, I
Yep.
believe.
Today is January the 7th.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I worked hours and hours and hours and hours to prepare that meal.
Oh, yeah. Very good.
A real traditional Thanksgiving.
Because we felt that we got robbed
Yes.
from our Cracker Barrel experience.
Yes.
Not from our but because of our Cracker Barrel experience, we got robbed.
Robbed of our holiday.
Yes.
Robbed of our meal. Robbed of our family time.
And I know comparison is the thief of joy, but whenever I came home that night, I was sitting right where you're sitting right now in my cool little chair, and I was just like scrolling on Instagram and whatever sort of social media I had open, and I just saw all the other traditional Cracker Barrel-less Thanksgivings. And I was like, that would have been nice. That would have been a lot better. Even if it was small, even if some people get like Chinese food, they don't even stick to the classics. They're just like, what, we're gonna go fucking Thai tonight instead.
Okay.
I'd be cool with that because all Christmas, Thanksgiving, and like even New Year's, it's all up for the ante, up for New Year's, but it's all about bringing your family and friends together and just making sure you just you see them once in a year. It's all about celebrating collectively, not with fucking strangers in a gift shop for fucking 2 hours straight, brushing shoulders, saying sorry. Oh, you're part of the table of 9. Go home. How the fuck do you guys get here? I'm surprised we found parking, by the way.
Yeah.
That was honestly the best part of the entire interaction. Found parking very quickly. We're not going to talk about the drive up.
Okay, let's not talk about that.
Because I got humbled. Well, we can talk about how bad of a driver I am. That's been this past weekend. You and I spent some time in the car because we went to go see Cam Patterson live.
Oh yeah, great show
in Indianapolis at Helium Comedy Club. At the early show, the first time he performed in Indianapolis, we saw that very first performance.
Oh, I guess I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, we've never been here before." Not to get caught doing a black spin on my second ever episode, but it is Cam Patterson, and he does sound like that. But we carpooled from Greenwood, where you were working, to Indianapolis, and I made more mistakes than I would like to admit to. And I've been driving for what will be 3 years, like we said earlier, this summer. And I'm still bad at it. Not terrible, but there's just, I second guess myself, and I don't drive how people say aggressively. I'm always like, oh no, is this gonna, I don't know when it's my turn to turn.
I think it's worse when I'm in the car too.
Yeah, I want to address that.
I think I make you nervous.
I get stage fright. But you don't yell or anything.
Ever.
No, but you do grab the handle, and I'm always like, well, fuck, I've made her uncomfortable. This is not good. But I have never been in a fender bender that was my fault on my own. I did get backed into, which was banana stupid. I got backed into at a stoplight. Of all places. Not a...
What's a stop sign?
That's what I meant to say. Yeah, stop sign. Yes. There was a car at a stop sign going onto more of a main road. I approached them from behind. Also stopped at a stop sign. And then they were like, let's not do it this way. Let's not go around the block and make our mind up the other way. No. This woman decided to just shift gears and then hold the steering wheel and look forward until there was something in the way. Which happened to be my brand new car that I had not made one single fucking payment on yet. I had that car for less than 3 weeks, and that bitch just fucking backed her ass into it.
Yep.
But luckily, we have my savvy little brother next to me, Max Franklin. And you know what he did immediately?
Took pictures.
He did say, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. He was, at his core, he's a sweet person. But then he was like, oh, I forgot, I'm much more street smart than the driver, me. And so he was like, ching, and got that information immediately.
Yeah, they weren't getting away.
Nah, they were not.
Max was not going to let him do you dirty.
No, Max would have ran on foot in his oversized pants and then tracked them down I made them cry about it. We're using just his words.
Yeah.
But no. But I brought that up because it was not my fault, but it was a fender bender. But not to say I haven't, like, had close calls. Every driver has close calls. Whether it's a deer, but it's like, oh shit, did not realize that deer was late for something. I didn't know he was going to cross right now. Got to stop real quick. Those happen. But for some reason, whenever we're in the car together, I just turn into a boy again. And I just...
Run over curbs.
Yeah, run over curbs, yeah. I actually came home today after work and filled my tires up. One of my tires was like 20 psi low. Wasn't even the one because I hit all my curbs on my left side. The side I'm the furthest from, so I have the least connection to. Those were pretty much deflated the same amount of air, which makes me believe it was just natural wear and tear. But point is, I gotta fix my shit, man. What if I meet a woman, like a grown woman, who's been driving,
who drives better than you?
I want to. It's not even about that. That I can deal with. I want to make sure they can trust me to be safe in a car, where they can go to sleep on like a long drive. Otherwise, they're gonna be like, well, I can't sleep because I have.
I might die.
Because I can't trust this goddamn imbecile who's had 1,000 days of practice already. Because I'm going to hit a curb on her side. Yeah. She's going to get contusions from the car. It's not going to be good. I worry about that specific scenario where I just embarrass myself in front of a pretty woman. I'm not talking about you. That was a compliment. I don't know if it was phrased properly. I pointed at her. She smiled. It's all good. My mom's prettier than yours.
You're going to alienate some of your fans.
That's all right. But everyone who's my fan is also your fan, too. And if they're not, they're going to be after this episode. That was cool. Whenever I post about, got mom on the podcast, people are going to be like, woo! And we're going to get all kinds of people to watch this. You're a celebrity in my life. So.
That's silly.
Not silly. It's the truth. But, back to my point.
They just like when I cook for them.
Yeah, but you're also good. You're so easy to be around. People feel safe around you. I'm trying to get like that.
Well, good. That makes me happy.
For sure. People can be themselves.
That's for sure.
That's a good quality to have it for anyone, but especially you. All of my friends have said unforgettable things at our dining room table because they knew they could be safe in Stephany Franklin's kitchen. Good times. Now, Let's see. Where are we at on time? We are just right around 57 minutes. So, last question. We're going to end on a very... Actually, no. Second to last question.
Okay.
Forgot. Our earlier episode we tried. I brought it up earlier. It was supposed to come back up later, and it will.
Now, don't waste all your questions on me. You got to save some for later.
Oh, but it'll be a different conversation with every person.
Yeah, but your fans don't want to hear the same question.
That's true. I'll bring these out for icebreakers, where it's like if I don't know someone very well, it's like, hey, we'll just do these real quick. There'll be questions that I don't know. I just kind of like the format of being like, oh, I know what to expect out of this, but maybe not everyone else does. Well, I'll figure it out. We'll it's good intel. Thank you for telling me that.
You're welcome.
What is the best way to eat an egg? I've asked you this before because we were going over the questions before I decided to start this podcast, and you were thinking outside of the box.
I said some people might say in a cake.
That's true.
My favorite.
I'm sorry. That reminded me of a very, very, very funny story. I don't think I've told you yet.
Okay.
I started a new job recently, and during the orientation, we were going over these scenarios, and I had to work in this place called the CMA, which is called the Controlled Manufacturing Area. A lot of things you can't bring in, like you can't even get on your phone during that, and you damn well can't even bring food in there. And so my host for the orientation brought up a scenario of a recent discovery of a woman. He said, we had to fire someone recently because she was sneaking Twinkies into the CMA. And then it was myself as one of the students, and then one other person in that room. Her name was, we'll just call her Miss Kim. Miss Kim asked a very funny question, which had a very obvious answer. She just heard that someone was fired for eating Twinkies in a Twinkie forbidden area. And Miss Kim goes, was she a large woman? She might have said, was she heavy?
Is she a great big fat girl?
Was she a great big fat person? And without hesitation, my orientation host was like, yes. Yep, you know it. Yeah, buddy. So yeah, I think her favorite way to eat eggs is directly from the cake. Every Twinkie is like just a little bit of yolk for her. I always looked at this question, what's the best way to eat an egg? As what's the best way to prepare an egg, which is a different question. But I think you're right, because you can eat an egg in all kinds of stuff, whether it's be a breakfast burrito or a breakfast sandwich, or you can have them boiled in a chef salad. I like that a lot as well. A lot of options. Eggs are very versatile. Good for protein.
Yes.
Good for Easter.
I really do like my scrambled eggs.
Yeah, I had some of that shit for this morning before going to work. Very good.
You ate that on your way?
I did, yeah.
In the snow?
Uh-huh.
Luke.
I'm not that bad of a driver. I was actually telling Charlie, Charlie, if listening, you heard this today. Very funny for you to weigh in on it. But he's like, so how was your trip into work today? He was worried about, the snow on the road and make sure I was all good. And I was like, thank you for asking. It was all good. Well, it was pretty much shitty and everything was kind of suspect until I got to the highway. Then it was all good. He was like, oh, that was the exact same way for me. And I was like, well, it also didn't make it any better. I was also eating my breakfast the entire time. It was so good. I couldn't help. I was like, I can't wait to get to Paragon to eat this shit. I gotta eat it right now. Matter of fact, I ate it so quickly that before I got to Paragon, I was throwing that container on my floorboard with the lid on it.
That is like 4 miles.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I had to let it sit before I got to work.
Nowhere to go breakfast for you.
Oh, come on.
Not in the snow.
All right, that's fair. I do have a problem.
That is the most treacherous of a road you've ever driven on in your life.
My verbatim what I said to Charlie. I was like, oh, they're only the worst roads I've ever encountered in my entire life. Yes. And I decided to have a buffet with me on the way there.
Holding it with one hand, eating it with the other. Who was driving?
Oh, no. I was pouring it and blocking my vision because...
God.
But they're back roads that I know so well. However, this was like a second level where it's like, oh no, there's obstacles I need to look out for, such as the slippery snow. But made it to town, made it to work on time, clocked in just fine with a full belly, and my stomach didn't gurgle once all morning. If I hadn't had that breakfast, mentally I might still be at work with how long the day's been, because it would have just been like, oh my god, only one more minute went by. I'm so hungry. But no,
I am hungry.
You're hungry?
I didn't have any lunch.
Oh my god, I should have shared my breakfast. I did offer to you. I was like, hey, am I okay to eat these eggs? And you were like, won't put gravy on it? I was like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's 9 p.m. on a school night. We have to go make dinner.
Yeah, it's true. And we did cross the hour mark, which was my only goal. Did that fly by to you?
Yeah, I could sit and talk to you all night long.
Oh, we have for sure done that. And it's just, I knew that this would be kind of a challenging for you to be as a guest, because I tell you everything all the time anyway.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing for us to really discuss. I almost asked you the question, what's something you've always wanted to ask me but never asked? But I was like, I don't think she will have an answer to that. Like, she... If you want to investigate some shit, you're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna knock on your door, and then I'm gonna ask it.
Right. But
I always knock, But I always ask you whatever is on my mind.
Mm-hmm. Which is, thank you very much for these cards, because that it did these provided alleys for us to walk down, and then we got to go on our own little tangents, which was
Right.
exactly what the podcast is all about. Just it's an open place for us to talk about tangents, and I've realized that the reason why I talk so quickly in normal conversation, or at least I used to, is because I'm afraid of my window of talking to just disappear, and I can't. Like my time's up. Oh no, they got the light. I gotta stop, and so I have to learn to just like, oh well, if I just take my time and just assert that I'm still talking, usually I can still have the floor. But with this, it's like, oh, we can do whatever we want on here. I can say I can talk however slowly I would like to.
That sounds like a different person.
It does sound like a different person. Matter of fact, I speak so quickly that I am almost impossible to understand if you speak another language. We had a woman named Alicia come back from Italy. She was a foreign exchange student my junior year, and her mother came to the pizza shop I used to work at, and I was trying to say hello to them, and they were just like, can't understand. I was like, damn, well, I'll work on that. Very sweet people, though. I just got to work on my pacing and making sure. I also have a deep voice, so it's hard to, like, if it gets too muddy, if it's too loud, I just become, you have to read my lips. And I speak so quickly that's kind of hard, too. And I have so much room in my mouth that, because I have like that Sistine Chapel mouth, where I just have a whole attic up there that's not even being used. My tongue doesn't have places to go in there, so it all rests towards the front. And then I'm like,
You've gotten better over the years.
Wouldn't have without your support. So thank you very much. So in closing, you are my favorite person on earth. And it means a lot to you means a lot to me that you'd sit down and do this with me, because it's been very fun. We've laughed a lot, which was my goal.
Yes.
Wanted to get to at least an hour and then just have some giggles. Hopefully people who are listening, will be listening to in the future, hopefully they got some giggles too.
I will always support you 100% no matter what it is you're doing. Number one fan. Biggest fan.
I'm sorry I called you a whore. At the very beginning.
You will be when your brother hears it.
At the very beginning of the episode.
And I will be a guest again if you need me to sit in.
Well, thank you. Listen, if I was a guest or like a listener right now, I would be like, hey guys, what was the question you guys flirted with at the beginning that you guys forgot to talk about now?
Next time.
You want to talk about next time? I was hungry. We're going to talk about it real quick.
I meant on our next episode.
Oh.
We would just save it.
Oh, I see. Well,
tease your audience.
I don't want to tease them like that. Blue balling, that would suck.
Go on.
Right,
it's your show.
Right. Okay. So the last question, the one that we did on our trial run before, which we've discussed things to not continue discussing, but yeah, you're right. I gotta get on with it. Can we truly separate the art from the artist?
Yes, we can.
And why is that, Mama?
Because Michael Jackson is a pedophile.
And knowing this, my old cover band covered plenty of his songs, and Thriller is a terrific song. It's a terrific music video. Beat It, crazy good guitar solo.
PYT?
Billie Jean. Mama say, Mama say, Mama say.
I want to be starting something.
Yes, that's a good one as well.
That's the one.
Yeah. Right. I know. Mama say, Mama say,
Okay.
Mama say, Mama say, Mama say, Mama say, Mama say, Mama say, Mama say.
50 more times and then you got it.
Yeah. Mama say, Mama say, Mama.
And then of course all his earlier things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with like the Jackson 5 and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, his music is phenomenal.
But let's not forget, he does touch the wrong parts of children.
Yes, and he should burn in hell for that.
I think he probably is. His face started melting before he died.
Yes.
And it will probably continue to melt in hell. Kevin Spacey, on the other hand, I don't think is as evil. Definitely not great. But one of my favorite comedians on earth, Tom Segura, is a huge fan of Kevin Spacey, and I heard him on the record today say, "When is he coming back?" He was talking to Armie Hammer. You know who Armie Hammer is? I have a very loose understanding of who he is. But he was a guest on Tom's
Pretty
podcast.
sure he's a predator too.
Yeah,
I think he's a rapist.
Well, they actually talked about that because that's actually the segue. They went from Armie Hammer to being like, "Hey, you were also on the list of people who got like big time canceled." Apparently, he was a cannibal, but it was like, it was. Well, I'm the Armie Hammer, so I don't need to defend him. But hearing him say his words, I feel like most times people get canceled, it's like it gets blown out of proportion. However, in the Michael Jackson and Kevin Spacey examples, like they do need repercussions for their actions. Michael Jackson for sure, but Kevin Spacey
for sure too.
Yeah, no, he made a lot of men uncomfortable and totally harassed them and caused a lot of trauma and
yes,
like, made work environments terrible and forced his sexuality on others. And
yeah, he used his power over them. That's not okay.
No, that's not good. But I really enjoy American Beauty. I really enjoy
his
Seven.
Movies rock.
Yeah, they're really good. You know what we should do? We should mute American Beauty and then turn on the Thriller album and just let that shit roll. Just have a complete sin party.
Some of my favorite movies have Kevin Spacey in them.
Yeah.
But he's playing a character.
Yeah. His real
he's
Kevin
good
Spacey.
at his job. He's just a piece of shit.
Yeah. I do miss him. Actually, I never got to know him because I found out really about his prior work well after the House of Cards fell down. Because I know you were watching
great series
until he left, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was told that House of Cards was never the same once Kevin Spacey walked his gay ass out of there. Well, that was the last question. We did save the listeners' details from the Michael Jackson documentary, which we forgot to mention this time. You can't find anymore. It was called Leaving Neverland. I don't know if there's ever DVDs made, if there's any hard copies, but we were watching the first half on HBO. It's like a 4-hour long thing. We watched the whole 2-hour half of the first one.
And then I needed a break. I needed to
scar tissue needed to develop.
Yes, just decompress from that shit.
And before we even decided to, watch the other half, it was just
gone.
Yeah, we might have been the last people on Earth to watch it.
What, we let a month go by or something?
Something like that.
Before we decided to go back in
and that's when we watched
pick up the second half.
Kevin Spacey instead.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think you can separate the art from the artist.
I can. You can.
Mm-hmm. However, I do think it's the most powerful when you appreciate the art that the artist makes. We also find the artist like there's plenty of actors who are killing it, and I'm also when I see them in interviews, I'm like, they look like a really nice person to talk to. Like they don't seem phony at all. Like Ryan Reynolds, he seems like he's hilarious in all the Deadpool movies. Those are passion projects for him. But he's also like a family man. He loves his family. He loves his wife. He loves all of his kids. Those are attributes that I want to do in my future.
Yes.
I don't have any of those things yet. Movies or wife or kids. But he has his priorities in straight, and he seems very calm, and like he's a very smart guy. What if maybe he can sit in this chair one day that you're sitting in. Be on my podcast, Ryan. Mr. Poole. But he's just an example of a guy where it's like it's even more empowered whenever you can they'll work hand in hand. Where like you're like, oh, I like that guy and I like what he does as well. But it does suck when it's like that guy's really, really bad. However, I do like to jive to some Billie Jean every now and then. I do like to watch American Beauty every now and then. It's a great movie. I wrote a whole fucking essay about it my senior year. It's called Lester's Last Year.
I remember.
Catch the alliteration? That was intentional. Anyway, it's been 75 minutes or so. Which ironically, we could have filmed this entire podcast, uploaded it, and we still would be sat down at Cracker Barrel yet.
No shit.
No shit. Damn.
Don't go.
Don't go to Cracker Barrel. Don't be like Michael Jackson. You do not have to tip at places where carryout happens.
And fall is the best season.
Mama says fall's the best season. We never said your favorite way to have an egg.
Yeah, we said I liked my scrambled eggs.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, scrambled. Yeah, no, I'm wrong. Yeah, Mom was always right. That's She's laughing because I have proven that to be true more times than
we can count.
Yes. It happens almost on a daily occurrence. And it's even better when it happens more than that, because then I just give her a look where I'm like, I'm not going to say it. We know what's going on. It happened just yesterday. Yep. Anyway, I know we already did a bit of a sign off. It happens a lot in podcasts where it's like they're trying to wrap the shit up and it's like, oh, we forgot about this. And it's like another 15 minutes or so, or 10. But no, I love you so much.
I love you so much.
Thank you for being my mom.
You're welcome.
Thank you for bringing me into the world. I'm very happy to be the guy to make you a mom. You're really fucking good at it.
It's my favorite thing on earth.
Well, it shows. Stephany?
Yeah.
Let's go make dinner.
Let's go make dinner.
Goodbye, everybody. See you next week.
Had fun. I hate the headphones.